Well, it's that time of year when everyone waits for the great pumpkin to rise over the pumpkin patch, and yeah, I had to make that joke. Anyway, yeah. Instead of that, I watched Snoopy come home, and it's not a bad, it's not a bad replacement. I think it's almost as good as the Great Pumpkin, which in turn is almost as good as the Christmas cartoon. Anyway, so yeah, this is the second Peanuts movie, and yeah, this one is a little more, yeah, as the title would suggest. Well, yeah, mainly as you might guess, this one focuses a little more on Snoopy. I guess it makes sense since the first Peanuts movie was focused mostly on Charlie Brown. Yeah, I guess it only figures they make a movie a little more focused on Snoopy since he's basically you know, the most popular Peanuts character, obviously. Like, yeah, like, there's him, and then there's, like, a few yards down, we got, like, Charlie Brown in the second place spot. I guess, I guess at the very least, that's one thing that isn't too, or one thing that Charlie Brown isn't a complete loser in. Anyway, yeah, but still, Snoopy clobbers him in that category. Anyway, so yeah, the plot of this movie, well, yeah, Snoopy receives a letter from a former owner of his, this girl who owned him before Charlie Brown got him. And he sets out to for the hospital where she's, you know, she's sick and she's in the hospital, so she sends him a letter and he wants to go and see her. Um, and then, yeah, along the way, he keeps running into obstacles because mainly due to a lot of things, not allowing dogs. If he sees the no dogs allowed sign everywhere, and that keeps him from like taking a bus and all sorts of you know air, all sorts of modes of transportation that would make this trip a lot easier. So yeah, instead he's got to he's basically walking it the whole way with his new friend Woodstock, who's introduced in this movie. I think Woodstock did show up in the comics before this, but yeah, this is his film debut. So yeah, and some hijinks ensue along the way. He gets, he meets this young girl who, takes him in as her pet, and you know, she's kind of an abusive owner. She's, she's like a bratty, overly, she doesn't know how to take care of animals, basically. And Snoopy and Woodstock have to escape from her, and, but yeah, that's like that's, mostly irrelevant to the plot. Anyway, and there's also this little side plot at the beginning where he's, well, at the very beginning, he and Charlie Brown, Linus, they're at the beach, and he meets Peppermint Patty, and he kind of, in a way, goes on a date. I say that in quotes. You know, girl slash dog romance. Don't want to think about it. I'd rather. It's probably less uncomfortable to just think of Patty either having a, or either being a potential girlfriend for Charlie Brown, or having a like a secret lesbian romance with what's her name, Marcy. But anyway, Marcy doesn't appear in this movie, uh, but yeah, anyway, like, she's just chilling with Snoopy, and she invites him to come back to the beach the next day, so they can like have a picnic. But he can't make it because of the no dogs allowed sign. They throw him out, so he can't meet with her. And yeah, I think it's kind of a shame that he doesn't like try to get a hold of her and let her know why he wasn't able to, meet with her. And she gets upset, and she starts to blame herself. And you know, uh, to quote her, she thinks she came in too strong with him or something. You know. But yeah, it's kind of a shame they never like resolved that little plot line. But yeah, that's one of two complaints I have with this movie's story. But we'll get to the other one in a bit. Um, but yeah, he meets with the former owner at the hospital, and she like invites him to stay with her because like he got separated from her because her parents moved, and somehow they weren't able to take him with them. And so yeah, they put him back, and they yeah, gave him back to the animal shelter or whatever, where she bought him. And he gets he gets bought by Charlie Brown's parents, and blah blah blah. And that's how Charlie Brown gets him. Um, so yeah, he goes home, and he like kind of has to decide whether to stay with the girl or go back to Charlie Brown. And basically, what he decides at first is that he'll stay with the girl, and and then they throw him a big farewell party back at the back at his former home. And we got the big sad, the notorious sad goodbye scene with him and all the Peanuts gang. And Charlie Brown sings a sad song. We'll get to the music in a bit. And then Snoopy heads back to be with the girl again. So he kind of goes back and forth between Charlie Brown's home and where the girl is. Like, yeah. But yeah, once he gets to the girl's apartment building, turns out they have a no dogs allowed sign. So that's kind of the and yeah, Snoopy starts celebrating because he now has an excuse to go back to Charlie Brown. And yeah, this is the other thing I don't really like in this story, is how he just kind of he doesn't really show any empathy for the girl when he like has to let her know that he can't live with her. And like, he just shakes her hand, and then he like happily runs away. And she's just looking after him all, or she's watching him leave all bewildered, and she's like, what just happened? And you feel bad for her. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't a very good way to handle that little resolution. I do wish they found a better way to resolve that. But yeah, I guess they just needed one last punchline with the no dogs allowed running gag in the movie. One last payoff where for once it I guess saves the day, which I cringed a bit as I said that. So yeah, Snoopy's welcomed back by his friends, and they live happily ever after, despite there's one last joke at the end that kind of makes it all Well, it results in Lucy saying this rather famous line, "That does it, Charlie Brown. He's your dog and you're welcome to him." So, yeah. And, yeah, then the movie ends. Uh, so, yeah, it's, basic plot line. But I think what does make the movie, and I think it's kind of the same thing that made the first Charlie Brown movie, is there's these little moments, just stuff that isn't like really that relevant to the plot, but you know, it's like the little things, like when Snoopy is hanging out with Woodstock, and a part where they make music in the woods, and there's some brief little kind of on avant-garde animations, kind of like the scene in the first one where Schroeder's playing that Beethoven song, and there's all those little visuals. Yeah, it's got a lot of the same charms that the first one had, but kind of less of the negative aspects of that one, because the first one, like, I have a lot of issue with, like, how Lucy treats Charlie Brown. Like, she's horrible in that movie. Like, yeah, I've never disliked her as much as I did in that movie, but yeah, this one's got less problems, but those two moments I brought up, they're a little glaring, and but the animation's pretty good. I think they did up the animation a bit, even since the first Charlie Brown movie. Yeah, there's a lot of little fluid moments and some animation tricks that weren't in the previous Peanuts cartoons. So yeah, it's yeah, and let's see, the and there's also some pretty memorable songs in this movie, and the main reason for that is because let's see, hold on. So, Vince Guaraldi, the jazz composer who composed most of the Peanuts cartoons, he apparently wasn't able to do the music for this one, but they managed to get the Sherman Brothers, the famous musical duo behind, the music from, like, Mary Poppins and other various Disney works. And yeah, they put together some pretty memorable songs. I think I mean, I'd say the three that stand out the most to me. Well, first of all, "No Dogs Allowed," sung by the one and only Thurl Ravenscroft, the voice of Tony the Tiger, who always does, like, the low vocals and music back in the day. But yeah, that's mostly like an earworm type thing. But I'd say my two favorite songs in this movie are "Fundamental Friend Dependability," sung by the bratty girl Clara. That's a fun, upbeat, catchy tune, and and yeah, since it's done by the Sherman Brothers, you can consider it kind of like a spiritual follow-up to Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and stuff. But yeah, it's fun song despite the scene being a little unpleasant, because you're basically watching this girl abuse Snoopy and Woodstock, and but yeah, it's a fun song. And then the other song, my favorite song overall, called "It Changes," which is sung by Charlie Brown right after Snoopy leaves, and it's sad, and Yeah, it's very, it's, there's a bit I can relate to with the song, honestly. I mean, uh, it's mainly covering, like, when, like, friends leave, and, but, it can also apply to other certain circumstances. But yeah, either way, it's a very sad song, and it's, like, probably, yeah, probably my favorite song in any Peanuts production, and it's, yeah, a tearjerker. Uh, but let me see. Is there much else to say? Again, there's like some little moments that pretty much make the movie, like the songs, and there's two back-to-back scenes of Snoopy basically getting into fights with both Linus and Lucy. There's one where he has like a back and forth, you know, fight with Linus as for his blanket. Um, it's a little slow, but the ways that they hurt each other is some amusing slapstick. And then, yeah, even better is the scene right after that where he gets into like a boxing match with Lucy, and it's, yeah. Yeah, again, the little moments in this movie, they're what make it. Um, so yeah, I'd say as a result, this movie is slightly better than the first Peanuts movie. Um, so I believe I gave that an 8 out of 10. I think I'll give this one an 8 as well, but a slightly higher 8. Um, and yeah, if you're a Peanuts fan, definitely check it out. Um, and I can't think of anything else to talk about for now, but if I do at some point, I'll put it in the comments, as usual. Um, and I guess I'll just leave it at that for now. Mash it and smash it, signing off.